this outer space treaty. It's called the Outer Space Security and Development Treaty. And it's called that, by the way, because we're dealing with security, how we build a world security system, but that now is based on cooperation in space, which includes, and for the first time acknowledges, the cosmic cultures. Now, listen to this. We don't have to go send this treaty to all the leaders of the world. We only need 9. After the first 9 nation states sign and ratify the Outer Space Security and Development Treaty of 2011, the Secretary General of the United Nations shall submit to the General Assembly of the United Nations the official recognition of this treaty henceforth as ratified law. 9 nation states. If I hadn't been stopped in that other place, we would have had the leaders. But I very stupidly, I think, told the wrong people, and I was doing it alone because I had given up from all of what I was going through with the ridicule factor and the confrontation and the blocks and my biography. It was just too hard, so I left the country to try to do it. But I can't do this alone. I won't do this alone. If you guys don't participate and get this treaty to the leaders of the world, we're screwed, because I'm passing the torch. I'm here doing my part. I'm going to work with everybody. I'll work with every strength of my being, but we all have to participate in this, those who want to, and those who don't. So now, this treaty, nothing in this treaty shall prohibit. Now, this is good, because people in the military-industrial complex think that peace activists are trying to shut them down, and a lot of us have been in a way. But it doesn't work. They don't even pay attention to you. They just completely ignore you, or at best, you've gone into Congress to lobby. What's the common phrase? Yes, I'm very interested in this. We will take a look at this. As soon as they say that, you know they're handing it over to their aides, and that's it. But here, nothing in this treaty shall prohibit the following space-based ventures that are not activities related to space-based weapons, including space exploration. Of course we want to explore space. We want to go out with our friends. Space research and development, we're not going to stop development and research, so we're going to allow that. Testing, manufacturing, production, or deployment of non-weapon systems. What's not prohibited are commercial, civil, entrepreneurial, and military space-based ventures that are confirmed by the Peace and Space Office that you're going to read later is actually formed by this treaty when the first 9 nation states sign it. They're not, as long as the projects that are going on, including in the military, now I know this is controversial, so listen, or it may be. The military has a very important role to play in space, and this treaty is going to define it. They're in space. It's of a non-weapons nature now. If we catch it on time, they can pave the way into space safely. They can bring our friends in safely. They can actually provide us with the kind of information, observation, sharing of information that we need, that they're already doing, but we need it. We don't want it classified anymore. So I'll go on with that in a minute because it's actually talked about in here. So we're not going to prohibit commercial, civil, entrepreneurial, or military space ventures that are confirmed by the Peace and Space Office not to be any part of a space-based weapons system or to have any intention of becoming or supporting space-based weapons systems. Cooperative space-based ventures with any people on Earth or with members of any cosmic culture, that's encouraged by this treaty. First time ever. Okay, one more. Uh-oh. Well, this is going on. I want to go back one page. Okay. Did I get to Article 3 somehow? No. It's up there? Okay, good. Here's the military and space one, thanks. Each nation state to this treaty shall not base any weapons or any object on celestial bodies located in space. And this is really important because you're going to hear about the asteroid threat and all of that. We just do not want weapons put on those bases or on any celestial body. But listen, permitted is the establishment of space-based military bases or operations, including communication, navigation, reconnaissance, early warning, remote sensing, and surveillance. These are not weapon systems. These are things that we can use to see, as Jacques Cousteau said, where the sick waters are. We as educators want to teach our children about what's going on the earth. We need this information for the earth changes that are coming about. We need to be able to observe the land, sea, and air and space, and that's what the military systems provide us with, that information. So we have a role for them to play. You know, when you're a teacher, you give the boys something else to do and they stop fighting? Okay. I'll go on to the next one. The use of military technology or personnel for peaceful space-based purposes, in other words, that do not use any equipment or facility in space that's related to the research, development, testing, manufacturing, production, or deployment or application of space-based weapons. That is not permitted. So we've covered all the areas, and it works because it's verifiable. The Peace in Space Office. For the peace activists, this is so incredible, because it's a United Nations Peace in Space office that's going to be established and equipped and organized by the nation-state signatories, by these countries that sign on to the treaty. And you can go on and read all of this, because it just goes on to define that we need this monitoring, verification, enforcement measures based on cooperation, and this office is going to confirm, to monitor everything that's going on in space, of a commercial, civil, entrepreneurial nature included, because those systems are all inexorably linked. And now Article 4. There are definitions, because some people may not understand what space-based weapons are. They're not earth-bound. And this will go on to tell you what's specifically allowed and prohibited. I want to explain something. On Earth is where some of these systems are. A missile going through space, although I've been on panels when military people, including I was on a road tour debate with General Daniel Graham, who introduced the SDI, the Star Wars program, which I named on CNN, that these people will say, well, you can't win this anyway because you can't ban weapons from space because a missile goes up into space. But that's not space-based. A beam, HARP. The ground systems are here. They go up into space, come down. They could be aimed into different places, but they're ground-based. This particular treaty does not ban the ground-based weapon systems. What it does ban is anything that's based in space, and that's where we can win this first step. You see? And this will explain this as you read it further. The term space and outer space is defined as about 100 kilometers, maybe 80 miles or so above the Earth. So anything that goes through space like that, not a space-based weapon. Don't fall for that if they start saying, well, they're already in space. Even if they are in space, even if they're weapons in space, this verifiably outlaws them. Okay? So, space-based weapons are defined as being anything that's based in space that can be used to damage or destroy objects or beings, humans living or working in space, or beings of our friends on Earth from a location based in space. This treaty bans all space-based weapons, including the dual use of space technology, of space-based objects or technology when it's located in space with the intention to be used as a space-based weapon that could damage or destroy any object or being on Earth or in space, from space. Okay, we're getting down to where I'm going to end this part of it. Weapons launched from the Earth, again, that travel through space but are not based in space are not banned by this treaty. We can go on and make more laws and treaties, but this one is going to aim at the one thing based in space because it's achievable. The term space-based weapon and space-based weapon systems are defined for the purpose of this treaty in order to identify weapons, devices, and systems that are based in a space location. I'm being very clear with this, and so is the treaty. Number 6 in this first part, this treaty prohibits, and this is more defined, the firing of one or more weapons based in space that would be intended to collide with any object or being in space, collide with. The next one is detonating explosive devices. By the way, this will cover the weapon systems that you and I have heard about, know about. Detonating any explosive device that's based in space in close proximity to any object or being in space. Directing, and this one I know a lot of you know about these beams in space and mind control and what the possibilities are. My God, psychotronic weapons. I invited Tom Bearden to be on his first panel where it was called Toward Mind-to-Mind Communication at the World Future Society years ago. It was his first time appearing in public. His hands were sweating. And he was talking even then about mind-to-mind communication and what technology could do to control our minds, how we think, how we act as an individual, as a group, make us sick, make us well. This is the kind of thing we're going to ban from being put in outer space as a first step. And it's called here, directing any space-based source of energy, because this is energy weapons, directing any space-based source of energy offensively against any object or being in space or on Earth. Next, basing controls or systems of any space-based weapon that are or could be intended to collide with or inflict damage upon objects or beings. Imagine us working in space or our beings coming in. To collide with or inflict damage upon any objects or beings in any location in space, including on the moon, on celestial bodies, on satellites, on craft, on the space stations, or on any off-planet visitor craft. Next, Article 5. This now gets into, we're starting to get into the legalese, but the first part is the United Nations Office of the Outer Space Affairs is hereby being appointed to be responsible to coordinate the first meeting, listen to this, the first meetings between members of cosmic cultures and with units of the United Nations and representatives of the signatory nations and indigenous First Nations. Yeah. A permanent cosmic culture liaison. You know, we got lied to about the first thing in the United Nations they were going to have. You heard about this on the news, a liaison. We got it here, covered. A permanent cosmic culture liaison will be available to the United Nations Security Council to answer questions and provide counsel on the issue of security and development of Earth. How do we know that that could happen? Because many of us are in touch. We're being visited. That is denied by certain entities and people in our governments, especially in this country, sad to say, but that's the truth. I didn't believe it myself. I ran a Space and Defense Institute. If somebody said the word UFO at that time or ET, I didn't even hire them because I thought they were crazy. And now I've had them walking through the walls, having meetings with me, and I can't take a shower because the messages come through and the water conducting, I'm told, is... So I'm one of the crazies with you. And now we have a permanent cosmic culture liaison will be available to the United Nations Security Council to answer questions. Next, the cosmic culture liaison will assist in identifying and neutralizing, which we now know they can do, in neutralizing any attempt to deploy or use space-based weapons. Well, we already know they can neutralize our missiles, which is why I said this is so stupid when I hear that people in different countries, and the Russians know better, want to work on missile systems. What? Article 6. The provisions of this treaty that ban all space-based weapons shall apply to all nation states, whether or not they are signatories